Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And on today's video, I want to go ahead and dive into what I kind of piggybacked on my last video about, where I demonstrated to you guys about how I began this journey with YouTube to share my perspectives, my experiences, the things that I went through in life that shaped me to become better, and why I believe that they're very essential to a lot of maybe younger individuals' development. Because especially when you're kind of growing up, there's not a lot of individuals that come into your life to help you shape your perspectives, your handicaps on what you think are possible. And I truly do believe in this when we were kind of maturing as a young adult, and I want to be able to expand what individuals or young people are allowing their minds to think. I want to expand that further. And I began doing this through documenting a lot of my experiences, ideas, and sharing them with you guys. And I believe, and I really want to say thank you for all the support, but I believe in helping as many people as possible. You know, for one, the world is a very big place. So the experiences and the upbringings that a lot of us have had were not too different. We all kind of experienced some similar kind of events. We've all kind of have went through some financial struggle already. We probably have already all went through losing a family member already. We probably have already went through losing our first job. You know, we've all kind of shared some form of experiences together, getting our first job, our first day of school, our first day of graduating high school, our first day of graduating college. Some of us have those same experiences. So, of course, we live them all uniquely, but they're common. So I understand the amount of value you can create and help individuals with sharing your experience, because we all deal with those differently. We all go through those, similarities or commonalities of our lives, same experiences, but we deal with them and come out of them differently. So it's very important that I feel like as a young adult, you feel comfortable expressing how you view and how you think, so you can align with individuals that perhaps can help you amplify those thoughts into action and a real fundamental and concrete change in your life to eventually lead to maybe a financial change in your life, which I always come back to because I believe are some of the most, drastic changes in your life other than the physical. Because in an economy where everything is so capitalistic and you have, rising living costs and money being the exchange for a vast majority of even education and experiences, financial change is the one that I do believe is going to help really shape a lot of individuals across their lifespan and help them see more, help them experience more, help them live better. So I lived through this. I was, not always in the best financial situation or having the most creative mind or, thinking the same way that I am now. And I made a lot less, and then I went through financial change by learning certain tools such as investing, trading, and money management, personal finance, building credit, understanding how to provide value to the world in terms of now running my own business, understanding the sales side, the marketing side, and I did this all from experience. I went to school for a very brief amount of time, which is, further education in college, but at the same time, I felt as I was going backwards. Not because I wasn't learning something new, but because I felt like my time could be used to create a more critical change or a more profitable change with the time I was investing. It was just a unique thought process I went through when I was young, but I later on going head first with solving the problem and getting into business and figuring out sales and marketing, at least to a point that I was able to live off of this. Now I was able to build a unique experience that, college wasn't teaching me. But now if I go back to college and I combine that education with what I know now, they will blend a lot smoother. And I had to learn this, right? And I believe a lot of us will learn this too. So I share this with you guys because I truly do believe in it. This is what I am confident in will help shape a lot of you guys to live a much better life. And this is why I express it so commonly and oftentimes frequently on my channel. But I want to go ahead and take this a little bit further for you guys. I want you guys to understand how it is I was able to create this change and how my experience was. because I want it to be something that, you know, a lot of you guys understand it's not necessarily the hardest thing to do. It starts very simple, but once you begin to create a certainty behind one little side hustle, which many of you guys may know it as, and it provides for you to an extent, you then start to develop the confidence to either take it further or maybe take that next idea to a reality. And I want you guys to understand that this is very common as well. You know, like starting your own business idea, starting your own, you know, side hustle isn't something you guys should be afraid of doing. Believe in yourself. Take those opportunities, because not only is it unfortunate, right, that we live in a capitalistic economy, which is pretty much explaining to you guys that the vast majority of money created here in this country is via exchanges of product or services, or creating businesses, or investing. Working is a component, but it's a very small one to a capitalist economy. You need the creativity, you need the investments, you need that growth. So it's unfortunate that schools don't teach us how to create value. They teach us how to go and, you know, of course, work, get educated, and pursue a career. But a career path is a lot different than running your own business model. They have different investments of time, different mental requirements, different experiences, and most definitely at the end of the day, different financial results. And I go to explain this to you guys because I want you guys to see, you know, how unfortunately I feel like, for me specifically, you know, I feel like I don't want to be biased here, but the education system has failed us to show us a very important component of life, which is that creativity, which is that belief to create for yourself. And we can see the result of those individuals that did believe in themselves and they did create and what they were able to achieve. A lot of US companies, you have Amazon, founder Jeff Bezos, now worth multiple billions of dollars because of his ability to create. Mark Zuckerberg was just a 21-year-old in Harvard in a dorm with the brightest idea to create a social network, marketed it, grew it. He's no different than us. Maybe he had richer people because he was at Harvard, but long story short, his own experience, multiple billions of dollars. CEO Jensen Huang of NVIDIA, dude, it's a $1 trillion company. What? When do we ever hear of that? United States manufactured company, and all of them have unique products and services that are unique to the founder. And the founder was just one of us. A person that dared to be creative, a person that dared to bring his idea to reality and push it further to create that financial return. And that's why I tell you guys this information, because of course, not only, you know, is it possible to create billions, which is a very extreme goal. I don't want you guys to dedicate your lives to generating billions. I believe there's a blessing in all of our stories that will allow us to have just enough to be happy, provide, and love those that we have to. And when I go ahead and share this with you guys, because I want you guys to see that, you know, despite it not being billions, you could potentially make more than some of the opportunities that most of us are being presented with now in our lives. You know, it can be maybe shy of your first 70,000 first year, you know, your first 120,000, right? Maybe your first 200,000, right? And I don't want to paint millions, but don't think that that's not possible. It is. There's millions of businesses that are doing $1 million a year, more so some that do $1 million a month. So it's a very huge possibility, especially if structured correctly. You can achieve it probably sooner. And I want the world, I want the audience that watch this channel to understand that's possible, to understand it's a reality, despite it feeling so difficult to achieve and live for ourselves. So I hope this video is able to help remind you guys, because even in my journey, I struggled a lot to see it and view it this way. I, obviously started working just like a lot of other young individuals, pursued, their first dollars, and then I started my side hustles, and then I started my small businesses, washing cars, and my delivery service, and then I began to go from my business and my working to now investing. I wanted money to work for me. I wanted to create wealth. I wanted to have a sense of security for my future. I wanted to save, but I wanted it to grow. And when I first got into investing, it wasn't really always, option trading. It started with, looking at what traditional investments offered. oh, what building my 401k would make me a year? What building my Roth IRA would make me a year? What, on average I'd make if I invested in the S&P 500, the Vanguard 500. If I were to go ahead and open up a CD with the bank, if I were to go ahead and open up my high yield savings account, what was I looking at? What were the returns? If I were to go build my IUL, what were the returns? Now, knowing the returns are a little bit shy of 10%, sometimes a little bit over than 10%, I knew what I had to begin to achieve and create for myself to be a more profitable investment. And as I began that journey at just 18 years old, with my first investment being in crypto, I remember I bought my first Ethereums for 1.2 thousand and I sold them for 4.3 thousand. Greatest return of my life happened in about a year or two. And then I bought XRP for 35 cents and then I sold it for around $3.14. Big return that provided me that positive reinforcement that it was real. It was money I put into something. I was able to get it out and I was able to live off of it. I was able to buy things. And that's where investing really started for me. And those returns, despite me being young enough to know them as a percentage, now that I look back at them, they were insane percentages, 300% in a year. If you look at, that $1,200 return for a 4.3 exit, three times of what 1,200 is only 3,600. I walked away with 4.3 each. It's higher than 300%. But look, I was creating those kind of returns just off my own research, my own due diligence, my own deep dives, my own intuition, my own gut and sentiment. And I never ended up going with the banks. I always managed my own money. I took power into my own hands. And as I documented this journey, as I shared it on social media, letting people know, hey, I was able to make this much returns, or I was able to make X investment and it helped me, other people wanted to learn as well. And that's where it kind of began to shape my life into a much more fulfilling life, because something that I was doing that I already enjoyed and it was providing for me financially, now people wanted to learn it. And of course I was inexperienced, right? I didn't know exactly how to teach it to the best of my ability, structure a path that, would keep people's capital safe, but enough positive return for them to continue going and believe in it, which is, I think, one of the most important components to life, the belief. And I wanted to create that, and I ended up doing so, and it was really astonishing to me. One of my clients here, I really do appreciate all of his help in this journey. His name is Lewis, right? He's in Florida, and I appreciate his help specifically because it reminded me what's possible via just expressing my mind and building this publicly. I was waking up one morning, going on my walk, and I was at 6:30. I remember I was walking around my community, and I get a call. I'm like, wow, it's pretty early for a call. And then it's like, hey, what's going on, man? My name is Lewis. I'm over here in Florida. I was watching your YouTube channel, and I like what you have going on. I'd like to learn more. I've always wanted to get into this investing and trading, and I just never had anyone to teach me. But I was watching a lot of your videos, and I aligned with you, and it blew my mind. Like, what do you mean? And he said, you know what? I want to go ahead and work with you. How much is it? I gave him a price, and he paid half literally on the phone, and then he continued to pay the rest in payments. And I was able to create a financial result for him. As I'll show you guys here in the video, I was able to make a return of $190 on a $670 investment. But remember those 10% that I spoke to you guys about earlier, right? So now you understand how I was able to do better than that 10% that most traditional investments offered me. But now I want you guys to see how in this journey and building myself up with experience and knowledge, and now I'm able to do that for others. And working with David, we are able to, I want to go ahead and share with you guys that every trade is different. Every trade, goes ahead and varies in the return. And investing does involve risk. It's not always going to be a rainbows and sunshine. But one thing I want you guys to see here is this unique result, this unique opportunity we are able to create, and just the fact that it's possible. So the total investment that we made here with David was around 860 net notional. So that's what we invested and got back as a return. But to get the total amount invested, we have to subtract our profits of 190, which I'll show you guys the example here in front of you guys, which is 670, right? Initial investment. Now we want to go ahead and divide this 190 by the $670 invested, and we get back a 0.28 times 100, it's a 28.35% return. And we did this in 3 months. Now, like I mentioned earlier, results vary, trades are all unique. But look, I did it for a stranger, 28% in 3 months. Now, was this a huge lifetime investment that, we had to put hundreds of thousands? No. That we had to put thousands? No. Put a couple hundred so we get a decent return. But I want you guys to see that it doesn't have to be multiple thousands, something intimidating, a big mountain to climb. It's very realistic and achievable for you guys to participate in the market as well. And that result was much greater than what majority of investments and traditional investments offer, that even me, when I first started, knew I could create and live and I guess you can say gain financially from. So I hope this video is able to show you guys, really what's possible when you do go down years of experiencing how to create value, how to change yourself into being someone that can, provide yourself independently, train your mind to be creatively and express and practice, forms of business like sales and marketing to interact and communicate and expand your network and really get yourself out there and see how big the world is and help this world the way that I believe all of us are capable of. The world's a very beautiful place. There's a lot of people going through bad things. Some people are having great days. Other people are having horrible ones. Put yourself in a position to be mindful of that and see what problem you want to fix in this world. See what you want to make a difference in. And that's where you'll begin to strive for. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Finishing up the outro to this video. But I believe that's when a lot of you guys will strive to find fulfillment much more valuable than the return financially. And with the fulfillment later on, meeting the right people, can you then get that return financially? But at first, make sure you love what you do so it doesn't feel like work while you do it. And then once you do it long enough, people notice it and the value that you're providing will be rewarded. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys get to see a little bit of my own story so you guys believe, so you guys are maybe some inspired, It's challenging, but surround yourself with individuals that think like you, that want more out of life and are creative and getting themselves out there, experiencing the world, challenging what life's told us was normal, what schools told us was impossible. I want you guys to see that. I want you guys to train your kids to see that. And that's why I share my story. I do what I do. I love all of you guys the way I do. And I hope all of you guys have a wonderful journey. Thank you all for watching. Jerry Trades the SoCal Trading Group. Over and out.